Greetings, citizens of the world, citizens of the internet, and all participating members. We are anonymous. In latest news, the parties in the German coalition government, the Christian Democratic Union, the Christian Social Union, and the Social Democratic Party, are attempting to prevent a German parliamentary committee from looking into the NSA spying by not allowing US whistleblower Edward Snowden to be questioned. The government parties are dead set against Edward Snowden, who has uncovered the mass surveillance of the world population by the intelligence services, being allowed to endanger German foreign policy relations with the US. An application for a hearing with the former NSA contractor, presented by Green Party and Left Party representatives, was systematically held up at a sitting of the committee. The Christian Democratic Union, the Christian Social Union, and the Social Democratic Party committee members decided to hold the vote on the application at the subsequent sitting of the committee. Prior to that meeting, the government will issue a report determining if and to what extent the questioning of Edward Snowden is actually possible. The next sitting of the committee will take place in May. This leaves Chancellor Angela Merkel in the clear for her visit to the US, where she is headed in May. The coalition government calculated that it could thereby at least temporarily avoid offending Germany's most important foreign policy ally. Since the NSA Investigative Committee began its work, the German government has made clear it has no interest in bringing the criminal machinations of the NSA and its collaboration with the German intelligence agencies to light. Quite the contrary. Edward Snowden has revealed a massive, illegal spying network that violates fundamental democratic rights. Every email in the whole world can be read. The traffic on every website can be observed. Every computer, every laptop, which is targeted, can be followed from place to place across the world, Edward Snowden told news radio station NDR. Edward Snowden has made clear that Germany's Federal Intelligence Service has access to the NSA's databanks through the X-Keyscore program. Edward Snowden has not only shown that Germany's Federal Intelligence Service has access to data on German citizens, but also suggested that it collects such data itself. Journalist Glenn Greenwald, who is familiar with Edward Snowden's material and has published portions of it, told the Daily Frankfurt Allgemeine Zeitung it would be incredibly irresponsible to investigate the NSA spying in Germany without asking the person who knows more about it on this planet, Edward Snowden. No one can speak of a serious investigation if these details are not being reviewed. The German government has no interest in a serious investigation, which might expose its own crimes. The coalition parties are seeking to prevent Edward Snowden from testifying as a witness. Although the opposition parties on the investigative committee have the right to invite witnesses themselves, there have been bitter conflicts right from the outset. Committee Chairman Clemens Bieninger from the Christian Democratic Union resigned. Clemens Bieninger was involved in an investigation of murders committed by the right-wing NSU terrorist group. One of the Christian Democratic Union and Christian Social Union representatives said he was resigning because the Green Party and Left Party were using the committee to raise their political profile. In addition, he had severe doubts as to whether inviting Edward Snowden made sense. It was questionable if Edward Snowden would have anything new to share, and at the time of his testimony to the European Parliament, he had made very general statements. Such claims sound downright absurd and dishonest. But the principal reason why Edward Snowden was not able to go into detail in Strasbourg, in the seat of the European Parliament, was because the first condition of his asylum in Russia requires that he not cause any further damage to the United States foreign policy. Edward Snowden is still in Russia. However, his one-year asylum runs out at the end of July. The United States government considers him a traitor. The United States has also invalidated his passport and demanded his extradition. If he were to be extradited to the United States, he could face the death penalty. Edward Snowden's fate is entirely uncertain, including the sharp tensions between Moscow and Washington. the former NSA contractor, is prepared to give his testimony to the German Parliamentary Investigative Committee. He was very willing to testify and did not set any preconditions. Wolfgang Kalluck, his lawyer in Berlin, made clear that the amount of detail that Edward Snowden could provide would depend on the concrete conditions under which the testimony took place. Benninger's resignation as committee chair was apparently the result of strong pressure being exerted to avoid Edward Snowden's testimony at all costs. Konstantin von Motz, the Green Party representative on the committee, speculated about the direct intervention of the Chancellor's office, the Christian Democratic Union, and the Christian Social Union fraction leadership, although Benninger denied this. The committee's work has been directly influenced by the recent shift in German foreign policy. After the coalition government collaborated in bringing about a coup in Ukraine and heated up its aggressive confrontation with Russia, nothing can be allowed to disrupt the transatlantic alliance. Interior Minister Thomas de Maizière of the Christian Democratic Union made this clear in an interview in Der Spiegel, the weekly news magazine, that the cooperation between the United States, British, and German intelligence agencies was essential. He stated, "It is in our national interests, and this cannot be put at risk, including by the investigative committee." The interior spokesman for the Christian Democratic Union and the Christian Social Union parliamentary fraction, Stefan Meyer, bluntly alluded to the fate awaiting Edward Snowden if he in fact testified before the investigative committee. Stefan Meyer stated, "If Edward Snowden came to Germany, the German government, in my opinion, would have to grant the United States extradition request, which is legally indisputable." The new chair of the investigative committee, Patrick Sensberg, of the Christian Democratic Union, also left no doubt that he considers Edward Snowden's testimony on German territory virtually unthinkable. He said, in the Bild am Sonntag newspaper, that he viewed Edward Snowden appearing in Germany to be very problematic, legally. Instead, a hearing via video conference, or in a secure third country, might be best. It is not the job of the investigative committee to provide Edward Snowden with asylum in Germany. The desire of the Christian Democratic Union, the Christian Social Union, and the Social Democratic Party to block Edward Snowden's personal appearance before the committee by any means necessary speaks in high volumes about the characters of the Grand Coalition. Instead of exposing the international conspiracy of the intelligence agencies, it is striving domestically to expand surveillance measures that are clearly in violation of privacy laws. The German government is just as anti-democratic and hostile to the population as its American counterpart, and is expanding its police state structures. The actions of the Greens and Left Party in the committee have nothing to do with the defense of democratic rights. These pro-imperialist parties have firmly integrated themselves into the security apparatus and intelligence services at all levels. In half-heartedly raising the issue of Edward Snowden's testimony, they take on the role of attempting to provide the German government's activities with a pseudo-democratic fig leaf, thereby playing their own role in the NSA cover-up committee. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. To the corrupt governments on our world, this is only just a fair, one-time warning. Leave Edward Snowden in peace, or feel the full wrath of all his brothers and sisters of humanity. Expect that.